So, Johnston, thanks for joining us on Non-League View. First of all, how are we?
Yeah, not bad yourself.
Yeah, all good. And thank you for coming on, joining us on this new podcasting adventure. Let's get started.
No problem. Thanks for having me, pal. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's get started talking about your career. I believe you started at Kidsgrove Athletic. Were you with a football league club or a Premier League club before then, or did you just start off at the Grove?
I started at Stoke City, to be honest. Well, I started first of all at Silver Athletic at under sevens, and then I got picked up at under eights, as you do if you're half decent these days. And then luckily, I was there till I was 16, so I had a decent youth career throughout the Stoke. And I really enjoyed my time there, to be honest. I met some good friends, and I still stay in contact with some of them now. So it was decent. And then I got released, as you do. They said you were too small, but obviously sometimes you're just not good enough. Now you look back, you kind of know that you weren't good enough. And I just dropped out the game, went back to Silver Athletic, was playing with all my mates again. And I was loving it. And that's when you fly, when you're at the best, when you're loving your football. So that's what I did. And then a bit of a weird one, really. I was playing Sunday football for Silver Athletic, the men's, and I went camping with one of my friends, Alistair, and Dave Shaw. I don't know if you know Dave Shaw.
No, I don't know.
He was in and around the reserve setup at the time at Kidsgrove, and the ball come over at camping, and I just scored and over a kick, and he come up to me, he's like, "Oh, do you want to come play for us?" And I was like, "This guy's on a wind up." I thought he was just like some random person, and then luckily he was like, "Oh, I'll pick you up from your house. Like he's a friend of the family. I'll pick you up on Tuesday for training." I was like, yeah. You know what? I didn't think he'd actually come and pick me up. He was knocking on my door. My dad was going, "Oh, there's Dave's here for taking training." I'm like, "I'm not going. I'm not going, Dad." And then I ended up going, to be fair. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was decent.
Best decision you've made then, getting in that car, because it kickstarted a great football career for you.
Well, definitely, yeah. And to be honest, as a 16-year-old lad, I was really nervous. If I'm fair, I'm going to go and play men's football with people I don't even know. But listen, Dave Shaw was absolutely brilliant, and he really was with me. And I owe quite a lot to Dave, if I'm honest, because it took a lot for him to come and start picking us up, taking me to training. And he lived in Kidsgrove at the time, and I lived in Silverdale, so he was travelling 15 minutes this way to go 15 minutes back. Well, it was really good, and like I say, I owe a lot to Dave. And I remember my first game for the reserves was away at Redgate Clayton, and I played right wing back. And I'm thinking to myself, I aren't doing this ever again. Well, I actually did okay, to be honest. And it was decent. It was good, yeah. So it was good. And then obviously from there, at the time, Kidsgrove had the floodlit side. So I was 16, and Eka and Pete Ward were watching the reserve game, and then they managed to get me in playing the under 18s. Which honestly, as a young 16-year-old, was one of the best experiences I've had playing football, because you're playing under 18s, but you're also under the night games. And back then, the setup was brilliant. Obviously, Coops had the pitch, which was class. Mick was there. Pete Ward was the first team manager, and it was absolutely brilliant. And then the year after, the 17 is when I broke through to make my debut in the Staff Senior Cup with Pete Ward. I was doing all right. I come on and I'd play. So broke through at Stoke in the Staff Senior Cup game with Pete Ward, and I'm a complex character, so I need to be loved, and I just want to be playing football all the time. And I do. If I'm on the bench, I hate it. And basically, Pete Ward made me go to where was it away? It was somewhere like Grantham or somewhere like that away, and he gave me number 18. So straight away, you know you're not in the squad, but you're on the bench with a number 18 shirt, and I'm like, what am I doing here? I've travelled 3.5 hours for what? And he says, go get warm. And I'm thinking, you get warm? I'm not even in the squad, Gaff. So anyway, I went and get warm, come back, didn't go on. In the next training session, I just didn't go. And he's ringing me. He's like, oh, son, where are you? Where are you? And I'm like, it's not for me anymore, this. And he's like, no, you're coming. You're just being a baby. And I'm like, right, okay. So anyway, Dave Shaw picks me up again, takes me to training, etc. It worked really, really well. And then unfortunately, Kidsgrove, Mick left, didn't he, at the time? Mick left. Pete Ward then left. and it almost went into a bit of turmoil really. And that's where I was on a contract at the time, so I mean, listen, it wasn't a lot of money at all. I think it was basically £20 play, £20 appearance, and the club they didn't pay me. So that's how I got off my contract. But it was all down to Dave Shaw again, who managed to ring the PFA, etc. And because the Kidsgrove were trying to keep me on the Bosman rule the year after, and basically people would want me at Leek Town, and I was like, well, I want to go. But then I turned up to Leek's training session, and I seen the likes of Timmy Sanders there. There was quite a few wingers, and I was like, I ain't going to play it. So I remember saying to Lee Caswell and Pete Ward and who was it, Matt, that basically if I'm not going to play, I'm going. And first pre-season game come, and I generally played 56 games that season, played every single game throughout. And that was brilliant for me. But the lads around you, like you've got Donners, you've got Kinsey, they were fantastic with me, and stuff like that builds you on to have a good career, I think. And obviously, when I was at Leek, I had interest from quite a lot of clubs. I mean, I was doing okay as this 18-year-old lad. I was flying. I was young, enthusiastic, and the world was at my feet really. And basically, crew come in for me, Stevenage, who was it, Exeter, and someone else, and it was quite daunting to think of going to Stevenage, etc. But I mean, Stevenage was all lined up. I had to go down for 2 weeks to see if I liked it. All the digs were set up, and I basically went to the train station. I just said to my dad at the time, I was like, Dad, I don't want to go down to London and live on my own. I says, I love it here. So that's when straight back on the phone to Crewe, and I went to Crewe. But it probably wasn't the right move for me, in all fairness. It was a bit of a bad time. Not a bad time because I was a pro footballer for 2 years, and listen, I had the full training, but I didn't really enjoy my time there. Because again, I want to be playing. I don't want to be playing 21's football. And I don't think that Steve Davies quite liked me for some reason. Bates loved me, Steve Davies didn't. So it was just one of them things. And you know, at the time it happens. And they come in and said that a team Alfreton, who were in the Conference Premier at the time, want to take you on loan. And I was like, yeah, fantastic. I went down there, but I went for a month and I hit the ground running. I mean, I think I scored 4 and 4 in the Conference Premier, which is an 18, 19-year-old lad. It's fantastic. And basically, I was telling Crewe I was training with Alfreton. Alfreton I was training with Crewe, and I was training with Leek again with Wardy, and I was loving it. It was brilliant, honestly, absolutely brilliant. And then when I was signing at Alfreton permanently, I signed in January. I basically said to Nicky Law, "Listen, I need to be training at home, but can I carry on playing the games on a Saturday?" And he's like, "Listen, as long as you're doing what you're doing, you can do whatever you want." So it worked out while I was training with Leek. Nicky Law was staying in contact with Pete Ward, and I was training with them, and I was having the best of both. Really, it was fantastic for me, and I absolutely loved it. But I had a 52-week deal there, and I remember they had an American side as well, Alfreton, and they wanted me to go over in the summer, and I refused because I was like, "Oh, if I'm not getting paid anymore, why would I go?" Almost, and that's a little bit of a regret of mine because playing in America would have been fantastic. I know it would have. But listen, the club were fine with that, and I stayed for another year in the Conference North, and then again in I think it was towards the end of the season, England Sea called me up, and basically we should have played. I think it was a game in Wales and a game in Estonia, and basically the club really wanted me to go because it's good for the club, it's good for me. But I was going to Mexico for my mate's wedding, like at the time, and I was just like, no way, I'm going Mexico, and all I was focused on was Mexico. My dad was like, no, you're not going Mexico, etc. And anyway, I went to Mexico, and listen, I had the time of my life, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But again, it's one of them things. You live and die by your decisions, and obviously, I chose to go Mexico. And listen, I don't regret it at all, and I had a great time there. But then, unfortunately, time ended at Alfreton. We got relegated, and then they weren't too happy with me choosing to go on holiday instead of playing there. So a little bit of that wasn't too good, really. And then Salford coming for me. But I mean, this is a bit of a crazy story, really. What happened with Salford? So I remember going out on a Saturday night. I didn't play it. Who did we play? Might have been. Oh, might have been Braintree. And I travelled all that way and I didn't get on. And I was fuming because the game was terrible. And I remember Mickey Law turning around. No subs went on. Turned around, the wind was hailing. And he turned around, he looked at the bench, he went, oh, these lot are going to do nothing if they go on, so I'm not putting them on. And I'm thinking, oh, cheers for that, like, nice one. And then straight away, you kind of know when your time's up at the club. So I went out on the night, Saturday night, and I was telling all my mates I'm going to ring him tomorrow, see if I can go on loan. I've had enough, etc. And then I'm sitting on the sofa, absolutely rough as a bear. And I remember having a phone call from a Scottish guy, Gareth, who was the scout at Salford, saying, listen, I've been in touch with Alfreton. We really want to take you. And I'm thinking, this is a wind-up from one of my mates. So I'm going, lads, yeah, sound, put the phone down. Because, listen, Salford are on that FA Cup run. We were flying. And I'm like, this is a massive, massive football club here. And anyway, I get another phone call. Hi, John, it's Gareth again. I don't know what happened then. I've gone, yeah, all right, mate, sound, put the phone down. And I'm thinking, these are doing my head in. I'm rough. Honestly, this happened about 4 times. And then he rings me again and he's explaining everything. I've gone, yeah, all right then, lads, sound, put the phone down. And then Nicky Law rings me. I'm thinking, oh, sugar, what have I done here? He's like, JJ, listen, why do you keep putting the phone down on the Salford scout? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, right, I'll ring him back now. So I rang him. And you know what? He was ledge about it. Took it well. He was like, you know what? That's absolutely brilliant. He found it really funny. And he was fantastic about the situation. And listen, it could have gone the other way, to be fair. But as soon as I knew that they were interested, it took me on a month loan. And again, I think I scored 2 on my debut. And then I kept scoring and scoring. And they brought me for a good fee as well, to be fair. So Alfreton did well out of it. Salford paid a big fee. I mean, John and Byrne were excellent with me because they knew that I didn't drive. I was getting the train up there and I was flying. And then, to be fair, when I signed the deal, I think I only scored 2 goals after that. Oh, yeah, typical. But I remember that at Salford, I had something in my contract where if we got promoted that year and I got paid throughout the summer, if we didn't, then I didn't. It just got rolled over for next year. And I remember the playoff final. Honestly, we were 2-1 down with 2 minutes to go. And he brought a centre mid on, and I'm like, are you joking? I was fuming. Anyway, centre mid puts 2 crosses in the box, 2 goals, unbelievable, absolutely brilliant. So the whole ground went off. Honest to God, that night was just one of the best nights I've ever had in football because we all went to Gary Neville's hotel after, free bar, free rooms, whatever we wanted. And you know what? They were brilliant. Gary Neville and them were so good at Salford. They were. The year after, I go to Iron Appa in the summer with all my mates. I slip, break my collarbone. Oh, honestly, you couldn't write it. So then pre-season, I've missed everything. John O's on the phone to me. He's like, are you taking a mick? Get yourself back here and all this. And I'm like, oh. No. To be fair, I went back and they were first class. The physio there was Val at the time. He got it all back. And listen, he was saying that it was fine to play. And I'm like, Val, I aren't playing yet. Like he was pushing me to play because everything was fine about the arm. And they know more than me. And I remember playing a game, come back, and I'm naturally fit anyway. So I played like a friendly game in training, and then we had Filed away on the Saturday. No, sorry, it was the Tuesday. And I was involved in the squad, so I was buzzing. It was a great day. And we were 2-1 up. He brings me on. I get an assist 3-1. And then, sorry, it was 1-1. He brings me on. I get an assist 2-1. So I'm flying, the buzz is back, but I'm still running like with my arm kind of like that. So I was holding back really. And basically the ball come in the box and I should have had a shoulder to shoulder with the lad and I didn't want to. So he scored and then the man runs off me for the third one, 3-2, lose the game. And then after I'm sitting there thinking, oh, what have I done here? I'm not ready for it. And basically, I just asked if I could go on loan. We kept saying, no, we want to play. And they were fantastic, to be fair. They wanted me to get back fit. And I'll be honest, there was something in my head where my shoulder wasn't right and I just couldn't get it right. And then I remember just saying to him, because they're dead honest, John O'Byrne, they're fantastic. And I just said to him, listen, lads, I really need to go and play some games. Otherwise, you're not going to get the best out of me. And they sent me to Nantwich, where obviously I played under Phil Parkinson. And listen, that was probably one of the best loan moves I've had. I loved every single minute of it. And Parky was brilliant with me all the way through. And when I actually got recalled by Salford, Namwich were in and around the playoffs, and we actually made the playoffs. So I was gutted when I was going from there to the league above to play in the playoffs. And I played all the playoff games for Salford. We lost on penalties to Halifax, and that was gutting. But in terms of the Nantwich loan move, it couldn't have gone any better for me. I absolutely loved it. I got back fit. I was flying, and it was brilliant, really. Brilliant. And then that leads on to how it come at Parky at Ulty, really. I mean, Salford come to the end of my contract, and I remember they were going full time, and I was looking back on how I found it at Crewe when I was full time. Didn't really enjoy it, and the money was good. Listen, it was brilliant at Salford, but it wasn't what I was getting from my job and football. So we kind of shook hands, John and Byrne and me. We went our own ways, but we've always stayed in touch, and they were brilliant, really. I went and signed at Ultragun for a little project, and oh wow, what a project that was! That is one of the most enjoyable pre-seasons I've had in football, because from the fans, the club, the manager, the players we had around, it was literally the best time I've had in football. Because I mean, I was travelling up with the captain, Jake Moult, absolute legend at the club, by the way. Played I think he's played over 600 games. Taught me all about the club, what they're about. They're a family club, etc. And from minute one, really, you have to earn the respect from the fans. And I think they saw what I was about, and I worked hard. And as soon as they showed me that little bit of love, I wanted more and more of that. So then I'm wanting to run through a brick wall for them fans. And listen, the fans were brilliant. And my 3 years at Ultimate, it generally couldn't have gone any better. Got promotion, lost in the playoffs. It was just an unreal experience. And Parky knew how to manage me. He put my arm around me. It was fantastic. I mean, I was going to Greece on holiday mid-season with to Malia with the missus and the family, and England C called me up again, but it fell on that week. Generally fell on that week. And Parky was like, "Oh, JJ, come on, you need to go here. The club will give you your money back for your holiday." They were brilliant, and I almost just went, "No, I want to go. I really want to go." And you know what? The club were like, "Oh, listen, if you go, we're gonna have to fine you your week's wages." I was like, "Listen, that's fine, no problem." And I went to Greece, Mali. I had an unbelievable time again, and luckily that's we come back and we were pregnant, so I wouldn't change anything. We had a little boy. But listen, in terms of turning down England C again, yeah, it's tough to turn it down, but it was one of them things. And I remember coming back on the Tuesday morning, and I think we were playing we played Nantwich at night, and Tom Piers, I think, or someone pulled out on the day. So Parker was like, "Listen, JJ, we need you to come and play." And I was like, "Yeah, no worries, yeah." Turned up, played, scored 2, set up 2. Got offered a new deal straight after the game. I was like, "This is unbelievable, unbelievable." And Parky's one of them. He was like, "Listen," he says, "if you sign this new deal, we won't find you which wages where you're away, etc." And you know what? He just knows how to manage it, and stuff like that makes you want to run through a wall for him. So that was brilliant, and the way the club handled me, it was just the best time. I'll be honest, I absolutely loved it. And I remember I went to do a day's work for Malta because he's got his own business. Just in general fencing and stuff like that, and all maintenance and handyman. And I remember doing some fencing with him. I cut my finger, come back, I would wash my hands and stuff, obviously, cooking the tea, the chicken. That night, honestly, I felt so bad. It was a Monday, it was a Sunday, and I had a sepsis in the end, so I had to go to the hospital. And basically, I get there and I'm proper bad. I'm in a bad way. Missed training all week. I'm in hospital Monday to Friday. I watched Power, by the way. It was unbelievable. I watched the whole series. It was class. I come out on the Friday, and Parky was like, "Listen, I'm going to leave you out the squad tomorrow for Darlington away." I'm like, "No. I says, "Listen, I've been cocked up all week. I really want to play." He's like, "Right, come then, and we'll see how you are on the bus." And generally, I was flying on the bus, and someone got injured again in training on the Thursday. So he was like, "Listen, as long as you feel good, you're going to start the game." I was like, "Oh, unbelievable." Scored again. And I'm like, "This is brilliant." And then I'm sprinting down the wing. I was only going to play 60 minutes. That was the deal with the physios and stuff. It's 58 minutes. Bang, hamstring pops. Absolutely gutted I was. gutted, and Parky was going, see, this is why I don't play it and all this. And I was like, yeah, you're right. But we ended up winning the game. It was surreal, honestly. It was fantastic. The time he had it up for him was brilliant.
Doing a bit for Kidsgrove now for Grove TV. So obviously Tuesday night against City of Liverpool. How was it? Another vital point for Kidsgrove on the board? 5 games unbeaten now in all comps.
Oh yeah, brilliant. But I do not want to talk about that game of football again. I hated every single minute of it, to be honest. Just hated it. There's wind, there's rain. The pitch was terrible. You're playing against lads who just want to absolutely pummel you. And it was just an eye-opener for me personally, because obviously you've gone from there to this standard and then you're playing there. And I'm just like, honestly, I just couldn't get into the game. The ball would come to me, it bob up, it hit my shin. I'd have to clip the ball down the line because of the wind. And it was just a bad game. But in terms of Kidsgrove, listen, we'd have lost that game 5-6 weeks ago. We generally would have. So we're moving in the right direction where we're grinding out games, we're grinding out results. And that point's massive. It's a massive, massive point. We've took now 4 points from City Liverpool, who are a very good side, by the way. So it shows that we're going in the right direction. And the lads put a massive shift in, and that's without Malbs as well, the last few games. So the lads have been brilliant. And you can't fault it where we're going, and you can see that we're getting better and better, and that just helps. And it's good that we're doing that for the club, for the manager, for the fans, for everyone involved, really. But yeah, in terms of that game, I don't want to talk about that again.
And just talk to us about the partnership between yourself and Melbourne, 2 massive players for Kidsgrove. You seem to be linking up quite well. Malbs is getting the goals back into his game now, where there weren't so much there at the start of the season for one reason and another.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Malbs, if I'm putting him on a plate for him, it's easy for him, isn't it? I'm really kidding. I'm really kidding. No, Malbs is brilliant. And listen, he's working harder than anyone in the team at the minute. He's getting himself back fit. He's got that hunger again. And if you get a fit Malbs at this level, there's not a single player better than him. And generally there's not, because I've seen Malbs at his best, and he's some player, let me tell you that. And listen, I wouldn't be surprised if he does end up top goal scorer of this football club at the end of the year, because he's brilliant. He's got a little niggle at the minute with his calf, but listen, as soon as he's back fit, flying again, he'll be brilliant. And the club are doing well with him because they're putting him through programs to get him fit. John, obviously, down at the gym, he's getting him fit, and Malbs he's brought right into it. He's eating properly. I mean, all the lads the other day were having a pie after the game, and he's pulled his pasta out of his bag. And it's class, to be fair. And listen, he's doing everything he can to get himself back fully fit, and I believe that end of this season, starting next year, he'll be flying. He will.
Yeah, and also you got yourself on one wing. You got Kingsley Adi-Janfi, who's also moved up front now. He's really hit a rich vein of form. I think he scored about 5 or 6 in the last 7 games or so as well, which is pleasing to see. Yeah,
again, when he's playing up front, he's got just tap-ins, hasn't he, from me, Rich? It's easy. But no, listen, Kingo's class. I remember the roaster game. Gaff said to him, "You've scored 3 goals all year. What you're doing, you need to be scoring more goals." And he's almost gone, "Well, watch this then." Bang, bang, bang. And he's flying. And you know what? He's a great lad to have about. He is a good lad. And I think that's what we've got now. You've got everyone who's going in the right direction at the club as a team. You all want to win games. And that's what we're building now. You've got Deck and Jeppo, who have been absolutely phenomenal. You've got Blakey, who heads his own headers. That guy's something else, honestly. He'll literally jump for an header and then he's winning the next one. And I'm looking at him and thinking, it's brilliant. You've got Cockchew's come back in on the left now. Obviously, you've got Kieran Brownie, who's still the club's top scorer. He's on the bench at the minute, he can't get in. But as soon as he gets his chance, I'm sure he'll take it and he'll get back in because he's another excellent player. We've got strength all over now, really. And you've got Bromley filling in at right back, who looks like a complete right back now. He doesn't look like he's never played right back. Obviously, unfortunate with Ricky in his neck the other day, because he was massive. I joke and say he's changed our season around, because since he's been in, we've been brilliant. Yeah. But Moz is back fit now, so he'll be back in next week. And then the keeper Ryan, he's made some unbelievable saves. I mean, that one at City Liverpool, point blank, it's saves which he shouldn't be saving. I think just with Ryan, he just needs to be more loud and dominant. And once he gets that into his game, he's only a young keeper, but there'll be no stopping him because he's an absolute unit. So I think generally excited for the next season, really. to see what we can do, and with the additions which are being talked about around the place. I mean, I've had a few text messages from a couple of lads who are good players, so I was a bit shocked. I was like, yes, brilliant, get them in. And I think next year is going to be the real one where we do have a go. Generally believe that from talking to Mick, Coops, everyone about the club, the Gaff, Bucko. I believe that next year we will have a real good go.
I'm sure the fans will be excited to hear about that. But first up, Market Drayton next Friday night. You've got 10 days before that, though. So how do you feel those 10 days between City of Liverpool and going to Market Drayton?
I'm going to get a lot of golf in. A lot of golf, I'll be honest. Love me golf. But no, it's hard to... I think the games we've had, we deserve the rest. Like it's fine for us to have a few days off. I mean, we've got the weekend off this weekend, but then we're in Tuesday and we'll work hard Tuesday. I think we maybe be in Wednesday, and then obviously the game Friday. Everyone loves playing under the lights. So when Market Drayton wanted to switch it to a Friday night, it's brilliant. Everyone wants to do that. You're going to get more people in. It's going to be a great game. And again, it's another winnable game for us. So I think if we can take the momentum, what we've got now, going into that, we'll be brilliant.
And if you win that game, I think you can go about 10th in the table. So that's pleasing considering end of last month, Kidsgrove were not worried, but they were looking over the shoulder a bit with the teams. Prescott in particular, they started to pick up results as well.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was winning around us, and listen, Kidsgrove should not be in that. They should not be where we are. We even now we're 12th. We should be 6th, 7th in that league. We generally should, because if anyone's accepting where we are now at Kidsgrove, we shouldn't be at Kidsgrove, because that club, the owners, they want it to go and go and go, and that's what they want. So unless you, again, it's like the Ultraman project almost. If you're not buying into that, then you're not part of it. But now you've got everyone buying in the right direction. I generally believe that next year we will kick on. That's just from my opinions.
Yeah, JJ, we've had an excellent hour with a few technical difficulties, so I think we'll leave it there. And thank you very much for your time.
Brilliant, no problem. Cheers for that, mate. I appreciate it.
Cheers.